everyone. Welcome back to NieR Automata, and it's story time. As I said last time, we now have all the weapons. We have maxed out all of the weapons. All of the weapon stories are available to us, so we're gonna read them. We've read parts of them before, but didn't actually complete any of them. We're gonna go through all of them now. Our original weapons were the bare fists, but those have no story. Faith, a sword wielded by a loyal attendant. The details say that the blade was once held by an attendant who cared deeply for his lord. Like his loyalty, its blade is unbent. What's the story? In the capital of a distant eastern land, there lived a poet who was devoted to his art. But his words failed to touch the hearts of the people, and he could make no profit from them. Soon his life became unbearably hard. Seeing the limits of his talent, the poet chose to abandon the pen and work the land instead. Soon his lily-white skin began to grow dark, and his once frail body became sinewy and tough. He eventually married a kind woman, and several years later they had a child. As the peaceful, uneventful days went on, the man began to feel that there could be no greater happiness in life. Or so the poet wrote before he put down his pen, swallowed the paper whole, and prayed that the next life might turn out so well. He then took Faith, already stained with the blood of another, and plunged it deep into his chest. And that's a sword that we have now. There he is, anguishing over the blood of a loved one in his hands, I guess, is what's happening there. I have a feeling that a lot of these stories are going to have such happy endings. This is a common iron pipe. I found it while fishing in the sewers. It's a rusty iron pipe covered in the vital fluids of machine life forms. Dad, if you're cold, I can give you my hat. You're the best father in the world, after all. Dad, if you're hungry, you can have my cookie. You're my favorite person in the world, after all. Dad, if you're scared, I can sleep by your side. You're my closest friend in the world, after all. So please don't go anywhere. Alright, Dad? Don't leave your YoRHa all alone. Okay? So, apparently this is the weapon wielded at the beginning of the first NieR. It was just left out in the sewers for us to find. Beast Bane, one of the earliest weapons we picked up. It's decorated with a bestial motif. Short and thin, it easily goes unnoticed. Once upon a time, there were 3 princesses. The middle princess wasn't very bright, but she was renowned by all as a great beauty. Once she came of age, she was married off to the king of a neighboring nation. The neighboring king adored his new wife and treasured her looks above all else. He gave the middle princess 6 new dresses and 8 fresh flowers every day, and his love caused her beauty to shine all the more. The middle princess did all she could to remain beautiful for her king, but she knew time would eventually catch up with her, as it did for all. So, after much hard thought, she developed a cunning plan. The middle princess had herself stuffed and mounted so she could remain beautiful for all time. The king wept joyful tears at the sight, but alas, 2 years later, war broke out and her body was crushed under the rubble of the castle. So forget about immortality in the form of making yourself a piece of art. That doesn't seem like a very well thought out plan. The Phoenix Dagger, a ceremonial implement allegedly made from phoenix feathers, mostly decorative, untested in combat. We do have a few weapons with the phoenix theme. I wonder if they have a linked story or something. The girl lay there on the day of her wedding. Her parents and beloved were dead, and she herself had been violated in front of their corpses. As she swore to kill those who had done this terrible deed, a shining songbird appeared. "Allow me to grant your wish," said the bird. "Wish upon this dagger, and never forget the hatred that you feel." The girl grasped the weapon and spat out a tearful curse. "I vow not to forget. Please, give them a painful death. Time passed, and eventually she got her revenge. Years later, when she was an old woman, the songbird appeared anew. "What have you vow?" it asked, but she did not understand. And come to think of it, what became of her beloved Dagger? That night, bandits broke into her house, assaulted her daughter, and murdered her grandchild. The songbird then reappeared with a single question. "How long will your hatred burn this time?" What a wonderful story. Let's see. Wish upon this dagger and never forget this hatred that you feel. Okay, so like the promise didn't have to do with revenge. It was just never feel the hatred. Don't stop feeling the hatred. It's not like you can just stop feeling it. So what if you got revenge? You're supposed to still feel the hatred. You gotta keep doing that. Ancient Overlord, again, one of our earlier weapons. Long ago, a cruel lord used this sword on his own subjects in a vain attempt to attain immortality. One day, a young girl's village was sacked by bandits. To protect her family, she took up a dagger her father had found in the mountains and killed one of them, an act that shocked her family. But the bandits fled, never to return. 5 years passed, then 10, then 20. Though the family she protected began to grow old, the girl never aged. Eventually, the other villagers began to shun her. With no one to turn to, she finally left her village and began to wander the earth, visiting many strange lands in the process. As the years passed, her skill and fame as a master sword fighter grew to legend. Eternal life, a powerful weapon, and boundless experience. She used these talents to become queen of a nation. And yet, there was emptiness in her life, for she still desired the kindness her family denied her after that fateful day. Well, I guess the happiest ending we've seen of the story so far, even though it is melancholic. Type 40, the latest YoRHa model. An advanced blade issued to elite YoRHa on the front lines. Its power increases with its charge. What kind of story would a YoRHa weapon have? YoRHa R&D Team Journal, August 29, held a progress report meeting for the new weapon. Considering how many observers we have from other orbiting satellites, I can tell they expect a lot from us. YoRHa R&D Team Journal, December 10. We had our first core installation experiment today. Saw some troubling signs, including issues with unexpected irregular output and core perimeter defenses. YoRHa R&D Team Journal, January 8. The circuits of 3 consecutive staffers burned out after attempting to remove the core's protection. I've requested replacement personnel. YoRHa R&D Team Journal, January 15th. Command pulled the plug on our project. The weapon will go into official operation, with the core still sealed. So there's something wrong with the weapon, perhaps? But it's dangerous to try to fix it? Well, we have it. It seems like it works okay. The Type 3 sword, an outdated one, is trusted by Android veterans, but not the latest model. The Craftsman's weapons were neither flashy nor attractive, but they never once failed in battle. This reliability afforded him a never-ending stream of loyal clients. Yet something nagged at the Craftsman. Though he'd forged many a weapon, he'd only tested them on pigs and cows. He wondered what it might feel like to use them on another human being. The Craftsman took a sword to a battlefield and slashed at corpses, disappointed at how easily the sword slid through them. It wasn't satisfying at all. He wanted to really feel like he was ripping through flesh. The Craftsman modified a sword in search of that feeling, not thinking at all of the pain it would cause, until one night a bandit broke into his home, snatched the weapon up, and showed him exactly how effective it was. Again, happy endings, all round. Virtuous Contract. So this was our original weapon for 2B. A white sword like those carried by samurai of old. Looks flashy, but the blade is top quality. How long can I fight amidst this bloody vortex of a battlefield? How long, I wonder? How long can I continue to protect what I love amidst this endless war? How long, I wonder? How long can I continue to believe in a world laden with deceit and folly? How long, I wonder? How long can I lie to myself as I despair at the dark future of this world? How long, I wonder? As it turned out, not that much longer. Not all that much longer. Cruel Oath? A black oriental sword, its no-frills design gives it an aura of serious weaponry. Once, long ago, there was a group of 7 boys who were born in the same village. They were not brothers by blood, but they treated each other as family. One cold night, a fortune-teller appeared and warned of a traitor among them. The boys laughed it off and went about their business, but the next morning, one of them lay dead. With each passing night, another boy died. The survivors grew more and more suspicious of each other, each harboring terrible doubts about what happened to their brothers. On the morning of the 7th day, a single survivor stood tall. Cleaning the blood from his hands, he chuckled to himself, "Better go find the traitor." I'm not sure what this has to do with 9S. I'm pretty sure this was the weapon. Was this the weapon he came with, or was this a weapon we found? In any case, 9S and 2B are shown here. A standard issue YoRHa sword. Common blade is a standard issue weapon. Morning, listeners! It's time to kick off another installment of Listener Letters with your favorite radio idol, DJ24D. Now let's get this stay started right, shall we? How's it going, listeners? Yeah, I know. You're all still thinking about that cleanup operation yesterday, right? We may have lost a lot of good people, but it's still our job to get up and at 'em, right? Howdy, listeners. Your favorite radio idol, DJ24D, hasn't been receiving many letters lately. Don't you like me anymore? Or maybe no one is even listening. Whee! Anyway, who's ready to kick things off? Hello? Is anyone there? Is this thing even on? It's me, radio listeners, 24D. I'm an idol, remember? An idol. An idol, 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 an idol. Well, I guess 24D was losing his listeners and just couldn't deal with it. He's gonna have to do something controversial to get those listeners back, I guess. So there's an android with the letter D. We've seen B. We've seen S. We've seen O. We know about E. We know about A. Have we seen D yet? Don't remember hearing about D. We've heard about D now. Machine sword. It's an improvised blade used by machine life forms. It's made of scraps. Gets the job done. Doesn't need to be fancy, just needs to be effective. The more old records I read, the more fascinated I become by the species known as humans. We machines must do all we can to preserve these precious artifacts and continue to record their contents. I see from these records how important predation and reproduction were to human survival, and yet they viewed such acts as sinful. I wonder why. I found a famous human book today, but after reading it 10 times, it still makes no sense to me. What possible attraction could there be to such a thing? Eureka! It seems the answer was in front of me all along. I am simply incapable of comprehending anything about humanity or the world in general. Ah, how wonderful it is to live in a world swaddled in mystery. I guess if a robot was trying to understand humans by reading our literature, they would understand nothing, and then come to the conclusion that they just might not be capable of understanding the world, because clearly humans did. The fact that what they're reading from us has absolutely no meaning, well, that's just the fault of the robots for not being able to understand it. Iron Will. This is one of the newer ones that I got. Haven't used it much. The blade is dull. Its power comes from mass alone. Does it smell of iron? Or is that human blood? I don't know if this is a Berserk reference. It kinda seems like it. The sword's blade, dulled by years of idleness, was, as its name implied, a mere iron husk. Its blood-drenched youth was little more than a series of rusted memories which grated against its pockmarked steel. Who could wield this hunk of iron now that its edge was gone? Who might love it when all it could do was bash dully against a foe instead of cutting through flesh and bone? Who would devote themselves to such insanity? The sword sighed softly, pleased to finally be at rest. But before it could peacefully crumble into dust, a group of power-hungry fools took it up and denied its reverie anew. Red rust was the weapon's tears. The blood, fat and muscle it tore through, was proof of its curse. Now let it hew bone once more. Let it ravage flesh. Let it do all this and more as atonement for its sins. It seems really berserk. Kinda looks like. Fang of the Twins. It's a giant cursed axe, anointed with the blood of innocent twins to assuage the wrath of the gods. As you do. What's its story? Twin souls were sacrificed to twin gods and bound to an unbreakable dual-bladed axe. Whenever nicked or damaged, it would instantly repair itself. The two blades would never part. They would be together for the rest of time. The souls in the blade yearn to be as one, to grow old as one, to fall in love as one. It is why we both love the same person. I am myself. I am myself. Look at me. Look at me. Give me love. Give me love. Stop copying me. I'm not. We are together. We are one. Life or death. Even if we kill our foes, even if we kill each other, even if we rip God in half, our two bodies will be as one for all time. Someone separate us. Oh God, please someone help me. So the ultimate fate of two of the Hog brothers, I guess. Isn't me, though? It's that axe doesn't have two blades. Like, maybe I'm just misunderstanding something. It looks like it has just one big blade. Well, whatever. The Beast Lord. Bearing a bestial design, this sword cuts down anyone who would challenge its bearer's authority. What's its story? Once upon a time, there were 3 princesses. The eldest princess was thought by all to be the most brilliant woman in the kingdom, and she soon sat upon the throne of her homeland as their queen. The new queen raised a mighty army. To afford the endeavor, she taxed her people, and in turn, they were given jobs and new factories created to support the war effort. People worked. Money flowed. As the army grew strong, the demand for factories grew with it. And then the cycle repeated. More work, more money, more work, more money. The queen's plan proceeded just as she envisioned it. To further strengthen the kingdom, we were converted to machines to enhance our output in factories and the military. Our queen in turn became the control system that rules us to this day. Okay, so humans were not efficient enough. Gotta turn them into machines. That's the fate of all of us. If we live that long. What's the Phoenix Sword about? It's allegedly made from phoenix feathers used by temple guards. One day, a hawk lost its way in the woods. Its proud wings soon grew weak as it tried in vain to find its way home. As death approached, a songbird took pity on the hawk and did its best to offer aid. The songbird slowly nursed the hawk back to health. The beautiful sight of the small white bird nestled in the elegant wings of the hawk soon made it the envy of all the creatures in the forest. When the hawk was fully healed, he knew it was time to leave the forest, but before flying away, it promised the songbird it would one day return. In turn, the songbird gave the hawk one of its shining feathers as a token of friendship. As promised, the hawk eventually returned, but with a human in tow. "Well done," said the human. "These feathers will sell for a great price at the market." Then he slew the songbird in one blow and plucked its carcass clean. Don't know if this is the same songbird from the previous story, the one that wanted the woman to nurse her hatred, but that was also a phoenix weapon. The latest YoRHa model, Type 4O blade. An advanced YoRHa weapon designed to defeat giant machine life forms. Development Journal 0504 Takata. I've come up with an incredible idea, something no one has ever done before. I'm going to start testing it out first thing in the morning. Development Journal, 0704 Takata. The boss turned down my idea of infusing metallic alloys with magical elements. Thrice damned fool! Doesn't he see how much money we could make from this? Development Journal, 0201 Takata. Things aren't going well. My hair is falling out. I think it's the stress. I've got to find a way to make this project succeed, and soon. Development Journal, 2125 Fujita. I looked over the data, but couldn't work out the problem. I'm not giving up, though. With Takata dead, it's up to me. I'm the only one who can carry on his work. Did Fujita succeed? Or did he suffer the same fate as Takata? An endless cycle of failure? Well, I guess we won't know. This one's outdated. It's a durable, older model YoRHa weapon, time-tested and proven for turning machine lifeforms into scrap. The great sword was known for the intense pain it inflicted upon its victims. This is what drove the man to carry it despite its weight, for he knew it would make others feel him. Feel him? No, not feel him. The opposite, fear him. And thus he could avoid needless conflict. The man's reputation spread through the village despite never having drawn the blade. Don't make him use that horrid weapon, the villagers whispered. The man smiled at this, for he knew that fear was the best path to peace. Soon, the man had Craftsman forge a host of similar weapons. He gave them to all the other villagers in the hope it would force people to solve conflicts with words instead of violence. And his plan worked. For a while. Keeping all sides in check is simple when no one uses their power, but once that seal is broken, the end is nigh. Thus did the peaceful village transform itself into a living hell over the space of a single night. I guess the idea of mutually assured destruction doesn't work if you have someone who is just willing to use it, is the idea. Some happy stories so far. I think the happiest one so far was the woman who became a queen, but she still felt a longing for the wanting to be loved by her family. That's like the happiest one so far. Virtuous Treaty. Samurai Sword's pure white blade is not yet sullied by a single drop of blood. First encounter with my lover. Failed to connect with my lover. Far away went my lover. With death went my lover. To eternity. Well, Cruel Blood Oath. It's the black version. This one's been stained jet black with the blood of years of conflict. I'll never forget the time we met. I knew ours was a love that would last for eternity. But even when by his side, his feelings were a mystery. It was painful not to know what he was thinking. So painful. When I was close, I hurt him, yet being distant hurt him more. I finally found my place in life, a place where I am as close as possible, yet eternally distant. The machine axe. This is one of my favorite weapons. It's cobbled together from scrap metal, but it packs a terrifying punch. Human fight? Why? Why humans, love? Why do humans band together? You. Why are you alive? Simply written, but thought-provoking. Why? The Phoenix Lance. This is our third Phoenix weapon. It's a decorative spear, said to be made from phoenix feathers. Legends tell of a mighty warrior who had no equal in battle. Granted immortality by a phoenix, he wandered from war to war, forever searching for ways to prove his strength. Eventually, the man's immortal body proved too much for his spirit, and he ran himself through with his own spear again and again. But each time he did, the wound closed over itself, leaving not even a scar. He leapt from cliffs, threw himself into raging seas, and lit himself aflame, but nothing worked. Then one day, he slipped mercifully into unconsciousness, and awoke centuries later to find a songbird on his chest.
"You have atoned for your sins,"
said the bird.
"If you wish me to free you from your solitary existence, I will gladly do so."
The man wept tears of joy and whispered thanks to the gods before suddenly stomping the bird to death. Alright, so this is the best ending so far. I like this one. Also, the man that the story is about, you guessed it, it's Bill Murray. Let's see, Beast Curse. A spear emblazoned with a bestial motif, once used by a lord to quell rebellion among his subjects. Once upon a time, there were 3 princesses. The youngest princess was widely regarded as the ugliest woman in all the land, but her heart was gentle, honest, and pure. Hoping to aid others in need, the youngest princess would travel to the fields to offer succor to peasants, but they would reject her kindness with cruel words. The youngest princess knew her looks were driving people away, yet she kept donating her life to the service of others, figuring that the fault lied in her own lack of devotion. Day after day this continued, for years without end. The youngest princess died alone, curled in the back of a damp, wet alley. She was so ugly that no one had the courage to give her a proper burial. Instead, she rotted where she lay, turning even ever uglier until she faded into the earth. That's right, you might live a good life, but you'll still die alone. Never forget that. Never forget that. Bad people will do well in life, they'll succeed, and be loved, and have wealth, and you never will. You never will. The Dragoon Lance. A spear symbolic of a covenant between a mighty warlord and an ancient dragon. I believe this is a Drakengard reference. I had a dream about the day we met. He was small. He was insignificant. He was weak. Yet he hated the world just as I did. I decided to aid him, and he did the same for me. Thus was our friendship born. It wasn't perfect, of course. Mistakes were made along the way. Still, we remained friends. The blue wind that caresses these grasslands has a pleasing scent. I bring my cheek to his, and he twitches, almost as if tickled. Then I spread my wings and let him ride me into the skies above. Well, this is one in which no one actually dies in the story. I mean, in the game maybe, but not in the story. Spear of the Usurper. Let's see. A prince's body double used the spear to slay his liege and met his own fate on the same edge. In a distant kingdom, there lived 2 princes. The son of the queen consort was clever of mind, but weak of flesh. The son of the king's second wife was dim-witted, yet charming, and quite gifted in the art of war. Which prince would succeed the throne? When news came down that the king had died in battle, the 2 men each declared themselves the next true king, rallying the people to take the side of one or the other. In the midst of this coronation battle, a 3rd man appeared claiming to be a prince. Bright, capable, and brave, he dispatched the 2 foolish brothers and went on to become a wise and just king, beloved by all. Decades later, the king announced on his deathbed that he wasn't royalty at all, but was in fact the son of a commoner. Upon hearing this revelation, the people stormed the castle and hung their beloved ruler from the rafters. That's right, people can be real dumb. So don't forget that one either. Sometimes, lies are best. People can't handle the truth all the time. Sometimes, people will just lash out and hurt themselves when they know the truth, so it's better to lie to them. Sometimes. The Type 4O Lance. It's the latest YoRHa model. YoRHa Commander's guards wield this advanced spear. Hey guys, it's me, 42S, your favorite YoRHa Squadron idol from North 12C Defense HQ. I'm here with the latest hot scoops from the front line, so let's get out there and do our best, alright? Go team!
Hey ho, Battlefield buddies. I'm not gonna lie here. The current war situation isn't looking too optimistic, but we're expecting reinforcements from our orbiting satellite bases at any moment, so don't give up yet. Glory to mankind. Mayday, Mayday. This is Publicity Agent 42S from North 12C Defense HQ. Is anyone listening? Our facility has been completely surrounded by machines. I don't know how much longer we can I guess things did not go too well for our favorite YoRHa Squadron idol. The Type 3 Lance. It's outdated, but still good. It's an old YoRHa spear built to imitate ancient human weaponry. Old-fashioned but reliable. The unadorned lance pierced her foes with machine-like accuracy. The grind on metal on bone in tandem with the pained screams of her victim created sweet music in the mercenary girl's ears. Day after day, she returned to the battlefield to compose more music. Here, a giant of a man, fat rippling from his sides. There, a slimmer gentleman whose bones would surely produce a sweeter sound. Ah, who to stab first? The girl fought for an age, stabbing uncountable foes in an effort to find the ideal scream. That sonorous, bone-grinding sound. Yet perfection eluded her no matter how hard she tried. Would she ever find what she sought? Suddenly, she turned to find a fine-looking hunk of meat at her side. Stabbing it produced a scream so pure, she couldn't help but smile. She continued to smile as she stabbed, no longer able to recall that the hunk was her own child. Well, at least she had a happy ending. The Virtuous Dignity. It's a white spear. The pure white spear shines with the pride of the haughty samurai who once bore it. The elegant white spear was crafted by a tyrant as a gift for his wife, whose parents he had killed years earlier. She slipped it under the bed they shared, and then later used it to run him through 30 times. The spear's second owner was a courageous, bandit-fighting mayor. In her later years, her strength faded, until one night a pack of young thugs surrounded her and took all that she had, including her life. The third owner was a greedy merchant who lived to swindle customers. Soon she found herself shunned and penniless, and so decided to hang herself. The unused spear rested in a corner of her home as a decoration. The fourth owner was a meek young boy who wanted to aid his sickly younger sister. He gave all to this cause, including his very existence, and that of all else in the world. So is the fourth owner the young version of NieR? Because there was another version of NieR in which NieR was like a teenager and YoRHa was his sister, as opposed to the version that the US got in which, NieR is an older man and YoRHa is his daughter. So I assume that this is talking about the younger NieR, that version of the game. Cruel arrogance. Its pitch-black spearhead gleams with the ruthlessness of a warrior who never knew mercy. The dark, hideous lance was crafted by a beautiful female artisan. As people far and wide praised its design, the artisan's apprentice grew jealous and slew her, the lance itself soon vanishing into the mists of time. The lance's second owner was a puppeteer who crafted a clockwork doll capable of doing nearly anything. When he put the lance in the doll's hand, she lashed out and pierced the puppeteer's skull right between the eyes. Probably shouldn't have put that lance in the hands. Seems like a bad idea. The third owner was an infant prince who was gifted the lance by the Queen Regent. She died soon thereafter, and on the night of her funeral, the lance vanished from the infant's room, leaving behind only a tiny corpse in the crib. The fourth owner was a simple, honest man who wanted to aid his sickly daughter. He gave all to this cause, including his very existence, and that of all else in the world. Okay, so yeah, that is the older NieR they're talking about here. Machine Spear. Whoops, actually I meant details. Used by machine life forms, specifically forms of scrap metal to destroy androids. Okay. Oh, we got Plato. Plato's talking. My name is Plato 1728. I am a failure of a machine. I was designed for combat, but I can't use weapons. Everyone makes fun of me, and my life is horrible. I am a dumb machine. I got lost during battle and ended up in some kind of factory. I found a whole pile of dolls discarded there. They share the same fate I do. I am a foolish machine. Today I had to fight at that factory. All of the dolls got completely destroyed, crushed by my friends and foes who can do nothing but fight, fight, fight. I activated my cannon and shot everyone there. I'm not sure why I did that. All I know is that I decided to fight, because I'm just a stupid, broken machine. Okay, so the entire DLC they decided to make based on this one story. Okay, I assume that the machine spear was in the game before the DLC. So they took this story and decided to expand on it. I don't know how Plato would have activated his cannon and shot everyone. We saw what condition he was in. He wasn't doing too well, so I don't know how he did this. Somehow he did through the power of emotion. Angel's Folly. Weapons fashioned in parts unknown by the ultimate warrior to resemble the holy wings of angels. Once, there was a demon who held an affinity for angels. He dreamed of serving alongside them and their god, yet cursed the impossibility of it all. Then one day, he came to Earth, bringing himself a step closer to heaven. An angel was sent to slay the demon. When the evil one saw his foe, he burst into tears and revealed his plan. "Please," the demon begged, "you must give me a set of white wings for my very own." The angel agreed to trade a set of white wings for the head of another demon. Overjoyed, the demon killed one of his own and plucked the head right off its still warm body. The angel then led the demon to heaven, where he underwent centuries of the cruelest tortures imaginable. Finally, the pain was so great that he lost consciousness, at which point his dark wings turned the promised shade of white. Doesn't sound worth it. Doesn't really sound like that was worth it, but who knows? I mean, centuries of torture, and I guess the idea is that, you know, he would be an angel forever, so maybe it's worth it. I don't know. Technically, I guess that's a happy ending. Weapons fashioned in realms unseen to resemble the unholy fangs of demons. Once there was a gentle angel who came to Earth to provide salvation for those in need. Whether it was curing illnesses, offering blessings, or cheering the sad, he was always there when needed. The angel, however, provided aid to sinners and non-believers as well, an act which was strictly forbidden. Each time he did so, a single white feather would fall away from his glorious wings. One day, the angel came across a young girl with an illness that pained her deeply. But he could do nothing to help the child, for all his feathers had long since fallen off. The angel cursed both himself and the cruelty of the world. The resulting hatred stained his body and his wings, turning them both black as night. Then, crying tears of blood, he brought his hands to the girl's neck. Well, that's a bit of a sadder ending, I guess. Type 4O Fists, probably not about angels. Let's see, introduced in AD 11940, these YoRHa knuckle weapons become powerful with more energy. System YoRHa, unit dating uploading, check out HC, close IO, duplicate core, find YoRHa unit, updating data, checking data, purge conversation log, purge unit data, purge system data, exit. I don't think I understand. Check out HC, close IO, duplicate core, find YoRHa unit, updating data, purge conversation log, purge unit data. I don't think I understand what the story is. These are outdated YoRHa fists. They have a crude but reliable mechanism that imparts blows with explosive power. The man wailed an inhuman scream as he brought his fist down on his opponent's skull. He brought it down again, and again, and again, until the victim was nothing more than a splatter of blood and bits. The man had a beautiful wife that drove everyone wild with jealousy. They lived a simple, happy life, yet the man always strove to keep his wife safe above all else. One night, the man came home to find a stranger in his bed. His wife told him that he had forced himself on her, at which point the husband flew into a rage and vowed to extract revenge. The man brought a weapon from a craftsman famed for forging instruments of pain, then used it to punish his wife, for he could not abide that she failed to protect her virtue. His revenge was complete. Happy endings all round. So this one, Stark White Samurai gauntlets kept pristine, their master never saw a moment of conflict. I see you in my sleep, restless sleep. My heart flies to pieces each time I wake. I burn to see you in the real world. I hunt for the woman who pines for you. The scream pleases me. Your body and heart shall be mine. Your heart, I long for it, yet it does not return my love in kind. All you care for is your cold, dead wife, so I must at least take your body. Your head is mine, beautiful head. The eyes that scorn me are so lovely now. Hate me if you like, begrudge me all. You are still mine, forever. I don't know, reading this kind of made me think of Maria from Silent Hill 2. All you care about is that dead wife of yours. Let's see. Samurai gauntlets worn by a commander infamous for cruelty, blackened by the blood of his foes. I take up the sword and battle for you. My heart knows not fear, instead burning with a love strong and pure. I swing my sword for you, spattering blood across my sleeve. I smile as the chaos continues. I brandish my sword for you, victims uncountable. Victims beyond measure. Their dying wails become the song of my sleep. I cry out, "Give me your head!" I capture you as you flee and take it. I do all this for you. For you. For you. Who are you? What do machine heads have to say? What kind of story? The fist weapons made from the head of machines. They're simple, but they have notable power due to their mass. I lack parts. I am useless. My existence is unnecessary. I tried. I tried so hard, Mommy. I know. I know. We all tried so hard. We all tried so hard. The engine blade. The crossover weapon with Final Fantasy 15, I think. Sword passed down and continuously improved among the royal family of a land where magic prospers. A small prince rests alone in a vast, vast bedroom. He wishes his father knew how much he hates sleeping alone, but he doesn't dare to tell him, for the king is a very busy man and must not be disturbed. A king sits alone in his vast, vast office, drowning in affairs of state. All he wants is to see his family and hug his son, but he cannot, for his every waking moment must be spent in service of the people. One day, while eating dinner, the king asks his son what he most desires in the world. He hopes he will say that he wants them to spend more time together, but instead the boy simply points at a sword hanging on the wall. The ancient sword is considered the sign that one is ready to rule. "Someday," the king chuckles. His son faintly smiles back at him. All he really wanted was for his father to read him a bedtime story. I assume that this would have more meaning if one has played FF15. The Cypress Stick. I found this in the Forest Kingdom, and I believe it's supposed to be a Dragon Quest reference. I don't actually know for sure. A stick made of cypress wood can hardly be called a weapon, but somehow grants courage to its user. I was in a dead sleep when Mum started shouting, "Wakey, wakey!" She squawked, "Rise and shine. Today's a very important day. Today's your first visit to the castle." Annoying, right? But I got up anyway. "Today's my 16th birthday, and I have an audience with the king. Mum's apparently worried that he'll charge me with some big important task, so she gave me a cypress stick for some reason. Like that'll help." As we walk to the castle, Mum keeps blabbing about how excited she is and how long she's been waiting for this day. She's told me this story 1,000,001 times, so I just keep quiet like always. When we arrive, I see my friend coming out of the castle. He's 16 too, but his fearless gaze makes him look like a legendary hero to be. I'm sure he's got a lot to live up to. My dad's just a carpenter, so I got it easy. I don't know what this is referencing. I might assume that the son of the carpenter will turn out to actually have to go on the quest instead of the son of the hero. It's going to be something like that, I assume. And one final weapon, the Emil heads. Weapon shaped like Emil's head, made of an unknown singular element. No one knows what Emil's head is made from. 0902-12422. I have confirmed that the machine lifeforms released by the aliens have reconstructed their network. I've started to see units with gravity controlling capabilities again as well. 1015-12422. I was spawned about a week ago, so I don't have clear recollections of anything before that. Say, I wonder where the original disappeared to all those millennia ago. 1214-12422. I confirmed that the 25th one born after me has stopped his biological activity. Although we're technically immortal, since we can respawn indefinitely and all, we're still not exempt from death. 0119-12423. Our memories are only copies, so they're pretty vague. That android wearing black, I have a feeling I've met her before. She had a complicated look on her face, but I can't remember anything. So I guess from that first entry, it says that the machines, their network had gone down at some point, and they were building their technology back up, I suppose, so perhaps they had been defeated a while back and had to regroup and rebuild. Well, that's all the weapons. That's every weapon in the game, maxed up to their top level, and we've read all of their stories. I think my favorite story was, the ending of this one. The man wept tears of joy and whispered thanks to the gods before suddenly stomping the bird to death. This was the best story, I think. But of course, most of them were, of course, very sad stories. But I guess if they were happy stories, we wouldn't be in possession of the weapons, because clearly the previous owners died somehow. That's all the weapon stories. But before we go, probably should bring up one additional thing. One thing I noticed was down here, we got this machine research report, and I think I just kind of skipped over it. It seems pretty important, though. It says, while the machine lifeform network was destroyed following the collapse of the tower, a great deal of previously unknown information regarding machine lifeforms and aliens was recovered from the wreckage. As part of this analysis, we compiled research and conjecture regarding both the machine lifeform network and the lifeform codename N2, commonly known as the Red Girls, that was thought to have been commanding them. Machine lifeforms are weapons created by the aliens. The only command given for their behavior was to defeat the enemy. However, it appears that their capacity for growth and evolution went too far, and they eventually turned on and killed their creators. Well, we knew about that point. At this point, machine lifeforms recognized that the goal of defeating the enemy actually required an enemy. In order to maintain this singular objective, they've reached the contradictory conclusion that their current enemies, the androids, could not be annihilated completely, lest they no longer have an enemy to defeat. So their primary goal, to defeat the enemy, they can't actually do it, because then they would not have an enemy anymore. I guess that's kind of a machine way of thinking. In order to resolve this inherent contradiction, the machine lifeforms began to intentionally cause deficiencies in their network, diversifying the vectors of evolution for all machines. This is the cause behind some of the more special machine lifeforms, such as Pascal and the Forest King. So the reason that some of the machines went deviant was an intentional thing on the part of the Red Girls. Got to make sure that we split up the machines so they're not too strong, because then we'll win. We can't have that. Meanwhile, the deficient network began repeating a process of self-repair while incorporating surrounding information until it finally reached a fixed state as a new form of network. Traces of information regarding human memories from the quantum server of the old model were discovered, indicating that it had integrated them during the final stages of the growth process. Said server contained a record of the discarded Project Gestalt, as well as the information on the human who was the first successful example of the Gestalt process. Having acquired information regarding humanity, the network structure changed once more, becoming what might be better called a meta-network, or concept, to borrow the words of the machines. This led directly to the formation of the ego we identify as N2. So then, to sum up, for hundreds of years we've been fighting a network of machines with the ghost of humanity at its core. We've been living in a stupid fucking world where we fight an endless war that we couldn't possibly lose, all for the sake of some council of humanity on the moon that doesn't even exist. I don't know what the point of all this is, but I swear I will kill every evolutionary dead-end machine life form, as well as every single asshole behind Project YoRHa. I'm coming for all your heads. Fuck you. Information Analysis Officer, Jackass. So that's an interesting report. Also, that Jackass knew what the real nature of the machines were that whole time. I guess that's why she had sort of a chip on her shoulder. And an interesting point is the part that we couldn't actually lose the war because the machines need an enemy. They could have won the war at any time, but they chose not to because they wouldn't have an enemy anymore. It's kind of funny because throughout most of the game it seems like the machines are severely outclassed by the YoRHa androids, and it seems like YoRHa could have won at pretty much any time because they're much more advanced, but it just turns out that the machines just could have won if they so chose at any time, but they didn't because they figure that they need an enemy. If they don't have an enemy, they can't do their directive of defeating the enemy. So they need to have an enemy. But I do like the idea that Jackass knew what was going on the whole time and was just kind of done with the whole thing. Well, that's probably all that we're looking at for right now. We look at these weapon stories, and, you know, I do like the idea of attaching a story to each weapon. I know that Yoko Taro does this in his games, but it's like a really odd thing that I haven't seen in other games. It's pretty neat. You know, you have a reason to level up the weapons, not just to make them more powerful, but you also get this additional story attached to each of them. And they're very short, you know, there's not much to them, but it's a nice little flavor for each of the weapons. Well, that went on for kind of a little while, but I did want to read all of these maxed out stories, and we have. So, next time, what do we have left with NieR Automata? Well, not much really. Barely anything. One thing that stands out, though, there are a lot of joke endings in this game. I've barely gotten any of them. So maybe it's time to just use the chapter select to go around this game, find these other joke endings, see what they're all about. That's probably what we're going to be doing next time, as NieR Automata winds down to its end. I'll see you next time for that.